Hey, what's up? Okay, an underrated electric car. That's a little bit more rare, right? Usually, I mean, a lot of times in this electric car world, you get a new EV and it's hyped up, and there's like no way it could possibly live up to the hype. But there's so much attention on every new EV that an underrated one seems kind of unlikely. But I think I found one. My hot take is that this Cadillac Lyriq here, it does pretty much everything a Tesla Model Y does, but in more comfort, and it's just a better car. So I'm going to go ahead and explain why I think that's true. It's the same price, and I'm going to explain what makes the Lyriq the Lyriq. So you're looking at the shape of it. This is a $60-ish thousand as spec crossover electric vehicle, and it's a Cadillac. Not a lot of people, this is another thing, Cadillac doesn't have a super high or super low reputation. They're a bit of an older brand, but the Lyriq is their first truly consumer-facing EV that I think a lot of people might be interested in. And again, as spec, it's right alongside a Model Y, a Mach-E, an Aria, Ioniq. I think this is one that a lot of people who think the luxury part is important will actually consider. I've been driving it for a few days, and I think it really nails that stuff. But let's just start on the outside, because that's what we're looking at here. So 4 doors, very slopey, big sloped hatchback. I like the lights a lot. There's a lot of cool lights happening on the Lyriq, and I'll show you some footage of it at night where you can see the grille actually glows quite a bit. There are these big daytime running lights. The headlights are these slots at the top. It's a pretty nice set of lights. They do these animations like all the new cars do. I like the front end, but when I come around to this back here, I don't love this. I I don't love this. There is a good amount of storage and visibility, but as far as shape, I feel like I've seen better. But this is normal now. This type of shape is very common, especially in the US. You see a lot of cars like this with a bunch of storage in the back. So yeah, SUVs, that's what they look like now. These wheels here, they have this little air cap design. This is for efficiency. I don't mind this. I think this looks like a pretty good wheel. Pretty large wheels too. What are these, 21s? But then there's a couple unique things already about it that you're going to start to notice. So one, this is a pretty normal looking key. I'll unlock. And these are the door handles. You just press this, the door automatically opens a bit, and you just slide in here. This is similar to the Mustang Mach-E. All of this is sort of in the name of luxury and comfort, especially on the inside. But also check this out back here, opening the trunk. Where's the trunk latch? Maybe this is common on other Cadillacs and I'm just new to this, but you press the logo and then it's an automatic opening trunk. And it's a pretty good amount of storage space too. Check out the automatic dropping seats, which is nice. There's some lights in here, but I wish there were more. This one's not very bright. A little bit of sub-trunk storage. It's a little deeper than you probably expected, but you can keep your charger down here and some groceries. And yeah, that's a good sized trunk. This is, again, this is what crossovers look like, guys. So let me take you around to the inside, because I did tell you guys this is a little bit above the Tesla Model Y and a bunch of stuff, and that really starts to show on the inside. So let's get in the Lyriq and experience what a luxurious EV feels like. We're in, and you'll immediately start to notice the difference here. This is the cabin, a lot of premium materials and premium looking things everywhere. So just keep in mind, I'm about to show you a bunch of stuff, but keep in the back of your head as you watch this, this is the same price as the Tesla Model Y, $60,000 to $65,000 for a spec like this. Okay, so first of all, a lot of leather everywhere, leather on the steering wheel, leather on this center console, which opens up and has a good amount of storage in there. These seats are really comfortable. You can see a bunch of perforation. Also, the blue stitching line down the middle is nice, but they're also really well bolstered and nice and soft. I like these leather seats. You got a ton of visibility, a huge sunroof, and a lot of nice angles. The one thing that I kind of didn't like is how big this seat makes your blind spot. You actually kind of have to look around the seat, which that is a real blind spot, but that's a minor thing. But then just the seat adjustment. Okay, over here you've got this wood paneling, this leather over here, this is the door handle, but then this is the seat adjustment, and hello, perforated, cooled seats, heated seats. And this goes not just from the butt to the back of the seat, but all the way up here. There's fans in the headrest, and there are speakers in the headrest too, as part of the surround sound system by AKG. So there's a lot of speakers all over the car that are doing a really good job of immersion. And I don't know, there's just something about hearing one of the channels of the music coming from right behind you. So when I check my blind spot, I hear it in my left ear, and I look to the right and I hear it in my right ear. It's just nice. But it doesn't stop there. This front seat of the Lyriq has massaging seats. You can change what type of massage you're getting. Here's the lumbar massage. Both of the front seats have this. Again, not a common feature, at least in cars I've driven, which is pretty sweet. And then of course all the classic Cadillac trim stuff. This is to adjust the HVAC direction. That is for all of them all over the car. And they're really nice. Buttons are nice and clicky. Very quiet cabin. I'll show you the double perforated, I do this every time. I show you the double thick windows, but Cadillac has got one thing down, which is build quality of these cars. Shout out to GM. I mean, they've done a really good job, and that's what you like to see. So in luxury and comfort, I don't really think there's any argument. I think this is a head and shoulders above the Ioniq, above a Model Y. But then you have to get to the sort of daily ability and typical practicality, and so that's the second thing I'll show, which is it aces a lot of that too. So here I am in the back seat, a 6'3" person behind the driving position of another 6'3" person, and I've got a pretty good amount of room. I'd be fine here for a road trip. You've got more room if you're behind a not very tall person. I'm happy with this. The only part I'm not a super huge fan of is, again, this is the back slopey part with the weird shape and the fastback type look. And my headroom is a little bit tighter as it starts to slope back here. But also this huge glass roof is really nice. I wish it was a little bit more tinted like some others, but it's huge and you get that visibility. You can use this cover and close the whole thing up, which would be nice if it's a little too much for you. But yeah, as far as comfort, backseat, practicality, giving it a thumbs up. But we're not done with practicality. Okay, here's your vent controls, simple. A little bit of storage here. 2 USB-C ports, full-on 110 volt outlet. And then I'm gonna go back to the front seat for the rest of this because, you know, driver stuff is very important for practicality. But a bunch more storage. There's this little felt-lined soft opening and closing drawer here. I'm not sure what you would put there because, I mean, you could put the keys in if you wanted, but I kind of just toss them there. But then the rest of the center storage is nicely thought out. This down here with the blue, that's nice for organizing. Maybe drop a bag down there or something between the front two seats so it's not sloshing around. You have this center storage here, which also has a USB-C port and a cigarette lighter, but also a spot to drop your phone. This is a wireless charger. So I'm gonna get to the navigation systems in a second, but let's say you've got wireless CarPlay going, you just drop your phone in there. It sits and it is wirelessly charging. 2 more cup holders, the button to change modes, a volume dial, and some home screen navigation stuff. But let's get to this navigation stuff. So this is the general layout here. It's a large screen in the middle, is not a touch screen, that's your gauge. Over to the right is a large touch screen, and then over to the left is a little small touch screen, which is kind of helpful. I don't like reaching over here while driving, but it's nice that it's touch sensitive. And then this software is the best non-Tesla EV software that I've ever used. It's Android Automotive. It is quick, it is responsive, it's intuitive, and a lot of things make sense. You can easily go home at any point. It's got the Play Store with a bunch of different apps that are useful for driving when you're in a car. It also connects to Google Maps, and as you go drive somewhere, yes, it knows your charge state when you arrive to that place. And if you navigate somewhere further away, it will route you through chargers. This is a good version of Google Maps in a car. Now, it does have, like I mentioned, Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. Both of them are wireless. They can be a bit finicky. I've had both of them sort of like stall out and not work after a while. They do work sometimes and they'll work like normal, but I actually don't mind using the built-in maps and things like that here because they know about the state of charge of the car and they work really well. Audio settings, all that stuff is in here. If you're connected to a phone, all the special messing with your audio, your charging settings in here. I am really happy with this software experience in the Cadillac Lyriq. And then you get to driving it. The Lyriq has, on a full charge, 312 miles of range with a pretty accurate range estimator. I just charged it up, so that's what I'm seeing, at 312 miles on 100% charge. It doesn't really have the charge management features that I was hoping for, especially for like hitting 80% or 90% every time you plug in. But 300 miles is really good. It doesn't have the Tesla supercharger network, but then driving doesn't seem to be affected too much by whether you're in sport mode or touring mode. I will say, one, it is the strongest one-pedal driving regen I have ever felt in a car. Two, there is this button or this thing right here behind the steering wheel, this paddle, which the Hummer EV also had. I guess it's a GM thing, which you can squeeze and get even more regen while you're driving, and it is insanely strong. It's like really pushing the brakes hard, so you never really have to touch brake pads. And then number three, you know, if you're comparing directly to some of the other hatchback crossover type SUVs, this is the least sporty one. Like, this feels much more, I mean, it's a Cadillac, it's big, heavy, pretty reasonable, but it's fine. It has a sport mode which can pick up a little faster. Steering is a little heavy, you're a little disconnected from the road, but it does feel like a solid, comfortable luxury drive. That's what you're after in the car. This whole like middle section here with all the climate controls is maybe the least looking luxury part of the car, but it is also like super reachable and super simple. So I wouldn't really change a thing. I actually think it's totally fine. Even though it's just these little plastic buttons, I do intuitively know exactly how these work, and I'm very comfortable with it. This is good. So you already know how it goes. I've said a lot of nice things about this car, but no car is perfect, so I'm gonna give you the couple things that aren't perfect. They're just nitpicks. They're really not like crazy big deal breakers with this Cadillac. I'm just gonna start with the lights. All the lights in the grille and the lights all over the front, they're cool, but they are a little bit flashy for me. I feel like part of luxury, and maybe this is just me, but like understated luxury, is being able to fly under the radar a little bit. And at night, this is a head turner. This is an eye catcher, and I wouldn't mind if this was a little more subtle. Another thing, there isn't really a front trunk. This is what you're working with. I really like having a front trunk when these vehicles have extra storage. There isn't much to maintain, which is cool. It kind of looks like there would be like an engine under there though. No, just a plastic cover. But yeah, no front trunk storage. And then this software, it's really good, but there are a couple interesting quirks, which are, you have this customization where you can choose what stuff shows up in the gauge cluster and not, what stuff actually looks good to you while you're driving. That's good and everything. While you're actually moving though, it turns off a lot of the function. You can't do stuff. And while you're driving, it doesn't let you type a new navigation point into maps. It only lets you do voice control. But the voice control is trash. I was driving to practice the other night. I was going 5-10 miles an hour in traffic. I wanted to put in the location of the field. I tried to use voice control. It just straight up didn't hear me ever. I would say things and I would wait, and then it would just put nothing in. Maybe it's a bug, hopefully it gets fixed, but I gotta say that's pretty bad. And then really the only other thing is I wish there was a bigger difference between the sport driving mode and the normal touring mode. As of right now, you can flip it over to this sport mode. It basically just accelerates a little bit faster, but the one pedal driving is the same. I love that one pedal driving stays on. The ambient lights turn red instead of green, and it's a little bit stiffer, but not much. So it doesn't really feel like a really sporty drive, just if you're into that. So yeah, something like a Model Y would be significantly sportier, and if you're into that, which I happen to be, then you'll enjoy it. So this will feel a little bit too tame sometimes, even in sport mode. Also, I will mention this one more time. I mentioned it in the Hummer EV video, but, oh, sorry. I have to hit the stop button. The butt vibrations, which the Hummer also did, it's actually better on this car. So a lot of them, if you're coming up on something quick, will vibrate the steering wheel. This one will vibrate a part of the seat based on where the danger is. If you're about to get rear-ended, it vibrates the back of the seat. If you put your left blinker on and there's someone next to you, it vibrates the left part of the seat. That's actually fine, I guess, but not my favorite. But that's really it as far as things that I don't like about the Lyriq. Honestly, it makes a lot of sense for Cadillac. This is a really good EV for their first try. That's the fun part, is we're living in a time where we're getting a lot of manufacturers' first tries, and this is pretty good. What it leads me thinking is the Cadillac should most likely make an electric Escalade, right? Wouldn't that make a ton of sense? You want something that's quiet, luxurious. Escalades are already huge. They're already very high off the ground. They're already not the most efficient things in the world, but 300 miles on a big battery is possible with an Escalade. I think that would make a lot of sense, and they're also already expensive, so people would buy them and they'd be quieter and more performant than any Escalade out right now. But until then, the Lyriq, well, that's a pretty good first try, Cadillac. I'm impressed. Good work. Okay, that's been it for this autofocus. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.